The Capcom Pro Tour is by far the biggest pro circuit when it comes to fighting games, and Capcom is about to hold Capcom Cup 10. Yes, it's been 10 years. It's gonna be next February, and they are holding an insane $2 million prize pool for this upcoming Capcom Cup. Hello guys, MC Mura here. It's been a while since I've wanted to do this sort of like documentary retrospective on the Capcom Pro Tour and its history, but I wanted to do it from a different angle. And I figured why not talk about the performance of the individual characters, which characters did really well throughout the years and which one didn't. And if we're talking Street Fighter, we got to talk about Mr. Street Fighter, Ryu, the poster boy of the series. And man, Ryu had a roller coaster ride throughout the years.
The answer lies in the heart of battle. Prepare yourself!
The first ever Capcom Cup was held in 2014 and it was played on Ultra Street Fighter 4. And Ryu, well, he did really well. Fighting game legend Reinhardt used Ryu through this Capcom Cup, and he actually ended up taking the 5th place. An interesting fact is that Reinhardt had qualified for Capcom Cup by winning final round 17. He won it using Sagat in Super Street Fighter 4. So he used Ryu in the cup despite using a totally different character on a different version of the game to qualify. But back then, for the first version of Ultra Street Fighter 4, Ryu was in an okay place. He was still kinda overshadowed by other characters, but the character still was very solid all around, had a pretty good fireball game, really good anti-airs, good amount of safe jumps and pressure in general, and his damage output, Ryu always had an insane damage, and put a character who is very fundamentally solid on a player who is equally as fundamentally solid as Mr. Reinhardt. And yeah, the results was there. He was able to beat players of the caliber of NknuckleDu and Momoshi, although he did lose to Momoshi another time in this tournament, but his results were enough to get him a 5th position, and honestly an amazing performance by Mr. Reinhardt.
Goes in. Oh, wow, okay, hold on.
Tries to get out of the corner with that smart stuff, and he's just gonna go into Ultra One.
Can he do this?
Yes, he can!
I didn't think so.
Same situation again!
Unfortunately for 2015, the meta for Street Fighter V had already been established, and power creep was just far too much for good old standard Ryu to be able to hang. We had characters running around like Poison, like Elena, like Rolentos, Judy, and even the Ryu champions like Daigo had switched over to EV Ryu, which meant there was zero Ryu representation in the Capcom Cup. But still, Daigo would pick Ryu every now and then in some matches for a surprise pick, and he had a famous moment versus Momoshi at Stunfest.
Momochi not interested in any of that. Look at the spacing from Momochi. Is he outputsing Daigo right now? I think he is. Oh, too good. Heading towards another match point. Oh, Wolf
I thought he was going to do walk forward DP, I was so sure.
Jumps high there, not interested. Oh, no ultra. Oh. Daigo has him cornered here.
Yes! It's coming!
Daigo!
I'm sick, bro. Told you, walk forward DP was coming all day.
And that would be the end for Ryu in Street Fighter 4. He certainly started out strong, but unfortunately couldn't last until the very end. And this is kind of the story of Ryu, right? You always start strong, but Capcom keep adding new characters, giving them amazing tools. I will say, especially EV Ryu. Like, EV Ryu did massive damage to the original in this game, gave people very little reason to pick up the original outside of more HP. So yeah, life was tough. Even for the most die-hard Ryu players, they had to pick the evil one simply to stay relevant in the competitive landscape of Ultra Street Fighter 4. But 2016 is a new year, and it would be the release of Street Fighter 5, new game, new engine, and new chances for Ryu to shine. With the release of Street Fighter V and a new pro circuit, Ryu was in a very good place. He was widely considered by the players to be one of the best characters in the game. He was one of the very few characters who had a meterless invincible reversal. This meant that he almost always had super at the end of every round, so he had access to burst damage, had very good jumping light kicks that was hard to deal with, had a throw loop, and the game in general wasn't as crazy back then with V-triggers, so he could really hold his own. And this also translated into results, because at Capcom Cup we had 3 Ryus, the legend Daigo, the legend Tokido and Samurai. All 3 of them played Ryu at Capcom Cup and they were able to win tournaments throughout the year. There was one very famous moment at CEO 2016 between Tokido and Infiltration. Back then Infiltration was like an unbeatable demon, and saying Tokido use Ryu to overcome the unbeatable Infiltration, that was a sight to behold.
No, we're gonna get to see that. Tokido is harassing him so well. Look at this corner.
Oh, he's got the hit. He's got the stun. He's got a full meter. What's it? Is this gonna be enough to kill?
He can't kill. Maybe you can kill? No.
Not quite.
Tokido.
And he does it! He does it! He qualifies for Capcom Cup with a perfect! Tokido has done it! He has done it! He's qualified here at CEO with a perfect! And you can see the elation!
And at the cup itself, Daigo managed to get the 13th spot. This is out of 32, so not bad at all. But unfortunately, our boy Tokido, he actually went 0-2. Which was pretty shocking given that he was one of the best players throughout the entire season, but it is what it is, and Samurai ended up taking the 17th place. So although Ryu was actually considered to be one of the best characters in the game back then, his performance throughout the year was okay, and at the Capcom Cup, I think it was just alright. I can say he did amazingly well, but also 13th place top 16, that's still pretty good, and 3 characters out of 32, more than 10%, I mean that's pretty good.
And he spends the X, so there's not going to be Chip.
Chip is dangerous right now because K-Brad doesn't quite have that meter.
Well, there's no more super.
Again,
Okay,
the
nice.
3rd time uppercutting the EX dive kick. Now K-Brad really has to think about.
And unfortunately, this will be the last time we seen Ryu in Capcom Cup. Yes, ever since 2016, Ryu have been MIA. Capcom went ham on nerfs with Ryu in Season 2. Just taking a look at his balance changes, like pages worth of nerf, which is kinda insane. Plus the system mechanics changes also didn't help him at all, like they took away the meterless reversal, so his big burst damage wasn't there, his V-triggers were always not that good, and then the power creep issue I talked about also happened with him. We had insane characters like Bison, Birdie, Balrog, Urian, Guile. He was just far too outclassed, and some players, they really tried. Like Daigo really tried to use Ryu and tried to stick with him for Season 2, and he even got 06th. He lost every set in Tobanga, and he had to switch to Guile to remain relevant in the landscape of Street Fighter V. And even through the next seasons, Capcom actually tried to buff the guy. Every season, like, Ryu would get buffs, but he never regained his position. He was never decent enough for competitive play ever again. And unfortunately, with Street Fighter 6, Ryu is also not being used. I think the only hope now for Ryu representation in Capcom Cup is if Ending Walker managed to win the World Warrior Finals and make it in. But otherwise, we are also looking at yet another year with no Ryu. At least with Street Fighter 4 and 5, Ryu was there in like Season 1 and like the early seasons. Street Fighter 6, right out of the gate, Ryu is non-existent, which is kinda depressing. But even if Ending Walker makes it, who knows, because Ed would be released at that time, maybe he would switch over, I don't know. I really hope that we will get to see more of Ryu, because I mean, he's Ryu, he's the poster boy, Mr. Street Fighter, and I feel like given his legacy and the importance of this character, unfortunately, Ryu was never really that good competitively. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment, it helps the channel so much. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter and Twitch pages in the description. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.